Okay, so now I am going to share my screen. So just bear with me so we can get started. Whoops. Huh. End of slideshow. Okay, then let's go back to the beginning. That's weird. Now you're seeing it all in reverse. All right. Sorry for that technical difficulty. And we will have just some this session will be very little. We'll have a very short amount of time spent on our slides and a good chunk of time spent brainstorming. But just to set things up, wanted to give you a snapshot of where EcoAthletes is today, um, as we try to increase our fundraising effectiveness. Um, so and this is kind of a very quick cut down version of a SWOT analysis, but we're not even looking at threats, so it's a SWO analysis. Strength, our main strength is leveraging you guys for the climate comeback, something that is much needed, especially with the headwinds that we're facing in the current era that we live, in which we live. And the strength is not only is this network has grown incredibly, and thank you all for being part of it. So right now, as of today, Imani being the 221st champion, that is 54 more than a year ago at this time, or an increase of 32% in just a year. We are now in our fifth year, but the growth in our last year has been incredible. On aggregate, we have, or you have, not we, but you have 2.7 million social followers. And so that's one way of looking at our strength. The size of the size of the uh, network, the social followings. Not listed here are the incredible stories that you guys have. And that has led us to get incredible media coverage. Last year, over the entire year, we had 100, or we generated, you guys generated 160 million media impressions. This year, in just the first 6 months, 103 media impression, 103 million media impressions. And this is on outlets like NBC Sports, BBC, um, the one of the leading newspapers in India. Um, we've been on CBC in Canada and ABC7 in Australia. And that is a testament to you guys and to your stories and to your ability to share why you are working on this issue. So I think I know that's our main strength. Now, in terms of weakness, we've done this, we built this, but on a tiny budget. And that just by definition restricts our ability to do even more. And that's why we're having this brainstorm. Um, Specifically, just to show you, our budget this year, and we don't know how it's all going to turn out, but for the year, it's $46,000 to $56,000, which is a rounding error, and we need to get that. We need to increase that, and that's why we're talking. Because not only do we need to increase it, how the other thing is, we see many opportunities, as to the great opportunity of increasing the budget will allow us to propel our messaging beyond what we call the green silos, talking to the converted, preaching to the choir. That's what happens a lot, and it's very understandable that it does. But if we're gonna drive systemic change, we have to grow the audience of people who care about this, who care about climate change, who make decisions based purchase decisions, voting decisions, and lifestyle decisions based on climate change, based on to lead climate action and or to take climate action, and you guys uh, are the perfect messengers for it, and we have the opportunity to make this happen. And to do that, we need to grow our revenue to be able to take this to the next level. And so what we're committing to is a consistent strategic focus on fundraising, um, so that we can reach and maybe even blow past our high-end estimate for this year, and to make a big leap in 2026. I'm saying 100,000 more in 2026 than we end up in 2025. And Sydney, who introduced herself earlier as our new development manager, is going to lead the charge. And Patches and I and the rest of the team will certainly help and be a part of that. And we also applaud you guys for being a part of it as by taking on this brainstorm. So, just to give you a little bit about where we stand in terms of the type of funds that we've raised as compared to other nonprofits. We think this is interesting. So, this chart shows our breakout of our revenue by category. There are three main categories of uh, of nonprofit donations. Those are from partnerships, from with corporations, with other nonprofits, from foundation and philanthropic grants, and from individual donation. EcoAthletes is the orange, and so most of our revenue this year and last year is from uh, partnerships. And that makes sense in a certain way because, hey, that athletes and sports are are full of sports sponsorships and partnerships. And so we have had partnerships with an entity called the nonprofit called the Ocean Conservancy, and this incredible program that we helped launch called Protect Where We Play, and we can talk about that later. We also had a partnership, and that was also through the Collegiate Cup in 2025. Also a partner in the Collegiate Cup was Earth Day Network, which is the nonprofit that promotes Earth Day every day. And then there have been other smaller partnerships. But if you look at all nonprofits around the United States, partnerships is around 10% or a shade less of total revenue. On foundation grants and philanthropic grants, we're at about par 18, 19%. We've had grants with the Cliff Family Foundation, which is Cliff Bar, ESPN, and the Billie Jean King Foundation. In fact, Emily won a Billie Jean King, Emily Pape, who's on the call, won a Billie Jean King Youth Leadership Award for 2025 for her work on the Collegiate Cup and also for starting CSAS. So give it up to for Emily.
Thanks, Lou.
And thank you. And I see that Riley Barr has joined us. We'll do some introductions after I stop sharing, some more introductions. And now on the individual donation side, less than 20% of our donations are from individuals. We've done some fundraisers here and there. We'll talk about them more. And so we've gotten friends and family donations, but we haven't cracked the code. And the code is there to be cracked because depending on the statistic that you look at, so I averaged them. At the low end, U.S. foundations, 67% of their um, of their donations come from individuals, and on the high end, it's uh, upwards of 80%. So this number is about 73%. It's a huge number. I'm not saying that we're going to get 73% of our revenue from individuals. I think partnerships will always have a very big part. And there also is a really great opportunity to grow on the grant side. But to me, I'm looking at this scoreboard and I'm saying individuals, we have some upside there. So that is the background. And so before we get into the brainstorm, I'm going to hand it over to Patches to first just, and to you guys to kind of take your temperature about fundraising. So Patches, I'll advance to the next slide. Oh, huge opportunity to grow individual donations. I already said that. So Patches, you're up.
Okay, so is there another? Yeah, okay. So I am in a position where I had a college athlete myself, and both my son was also in a fraternity, and so I get the kind of texts that family members send out and receive. For example, I had came across this one from my just this little section right here from my nephew Dylan, raising money for our boys basketball program at Westside High School. To support our program, please click on the link below to donate. Your generous donation will help me reach my goal of 500 raised. Fundraiser ends on such and such a date. Thank you for your support. I don't really get that too deep into it. I just click, pick a number, and that's it. So that's one of the most simple friends and family kind of individual donation campaigns that I think is. Do we have a show of hands? Like, are you familiar with these kinds of simple text things? Yeah. Um, so that's sort of the lowest, most basic form of individual donation ask. I'm curious if anyone here has had experience with an individual donation campaign that was like that and super successful, or was there something that you've done different than that that you think works better?
I'm going to stop sharing for the second and then we'll come back to it so we can see each other. All right.
I have something. It's kind of similar, but it's kind of more of like a repetitions based or like a pledging based experience, which I think a lot of athletes probably have experience with, like how many laps you run or how many meters you erg on a machine. But the Duke Athletics department did one this past spring, and they've done it for a couple of years, called Bench to Beat Cancer. And so you go in, and each athlete gets family members and people to pledge based on how many reps they'll do, and you have a minute to do as many reps as you can. And that was the first time I've done something kind of like that, and it fosters like, and it would be hard to replicate probably within this type of like group, but it really fostered like a sense of community within the athletes like participating, and then being able to share like kind of the story and the outcome of that with like they did a really good job documenting it, and making the experience public and like all of it, having sponsors for the event. um and so that was another just example that worked really well for Duke at least, and for the organization.
And what was your experience fundraising in a campaign like that versus simply like, please support this program that I'm a part of?
It is definitely a similar way of in terms of like how you reach out to like family members and everyone, but I found it like to have kind of this story of um like Duke kind of provided the athletes with a lot of information about like, how many years they've been doing it, and like more information to kind of send out other than like the link. And my strategy kind of with at least my family members and the people that I asked to donate was a bit more personal. So I would definitely tailor kind of messages to people and try to engage them more, which is very similar to what we kind of just talked about. But and I think kind of the product after of like showing the video of all the athletes benching, or they create like a lot of like a fun thing to kind of send back to the person who donated, really resonated well. And then every year they kind of have been able to increase the amount of money that they get from it. So I think it was just a little bit more personable, but very similar to the same thing you were talking about.
Okay, great.
And were people like, was there an amount that was asked of them, or was it like, or they could just donate, you know?
It was, I mean, you could, with most, I did this too for rowing as well, but you could kind of donate a one-time donation, same thing. You would provide an option to do that, or you could also donate per rep, whether it was like $1 or, people do $5 maybe, which is depending on how much you think that person can get done in a minute. But yeah, you had the option for both, which was also good.
And did you get really tired?
I mean, depends how much weight you put on the bar.
All right.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
Kind of similar, but I raised money for a cancer association for my mom. And so I kind of told my whole team, like the boys and girls team, just for the rowing team, and I gave them a little bit of a heads up so they could train for it. And like the top like five like medaled. So I guess like telling people beforehand so they have something to like train for could be like helpful in getting more momentum around something like fundraising.
What was the competition?
It was a 5K, so it was like a 5K in Boston Commons, and the like Red Sox mascot came, and it was like a whole event with like food trucks and things like that. So I think like having like food and like more of like a community rather like not just like college, but like different colleges were there and like other people who had like a shared experience were there. So I think there was momentum around that.
That's incredible.
So did you fundraise among your friends and family for that, or just people you recruited people to participate?
Yeah, so I gave like a speech in front of like my whole school, and then people were like, "Oh wow, like I know this person," and they just donated, and like people who I hadn't talked to like donated. So I think if there's like a personal experience along with it, people are more willing to donate like their own money.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else? All right, we can go back to, let me go back to the share, and then we'll go to the next part. Hold on. And do you have it?
Yes.
And that's your backup patches.
Yes. So as far as soliciting for support among your network, I'm really curious to get some feedback from all of you about what makes it easy for you, what makes it comfortable for you, what are you most willing to do. I would preface this by saying that the experience has been that like posting something on your story is not nearly as effective as sending a text to someone or an email where they would just go ahead and click, and it's much more personal. So I would just love to hear what you've done, what you think would work for you, and what we could do to provide you with, as far as you mentioned the school providing a link and other information, um, a sample text message that you would then be able to personalize and send out to people, or maybe like a pre-existing flyer that's clickable that would take them directly to make a small donation. So this is open time for you to let us know, I think this works. This hasn't, I've tried this and it didn't work as well in the past. So send us what you think. What are your thoughts on that?
I definitely think that patches all three of those things, the a sample text, sample email, and some sort of like flyer we could post would be great. Because I think that there's certain people it would be more appropriate to send an email to, like maybe my coaches or professors or employers, something like that. And then obviously like friends and family, a little less like formal. A text would probably suffice. And then yeah, some sort of like I know I kind of agree. I think a lot of people will just like scroll through the stories and if they don't really know what it's going towards, maybe some sort of like video, like if we posted videos on our own stories, or we made like combined video with a bunch of different athletes like talking and kind of explaining like what we want donations for and all of that. It might be more like personal and might resonate with people more. But yeah, definitely having something to post and send out, I think would be helpful.
I agree with that. I always love the compilation of all the eco athletes like passing the phone to each other. I always think that's really helpful and a great video to share.
By the way, Riley, just introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. I'm Riley Barr. I work with Blue Strike Environmental, so I'm a current sustainability consultant for sports, and I previously ran cross country and track for Florida State University. So I am retired athlete, but still in the sports world.
And a very active EcoAthletes champion. And
Yes,
then,
very active. And Riley, you've actually been in some of the compilation videos that we've made for all kinds of purposes, including, but not only limited to fundraising. So my question is, if we were to create a small video of eco athletes that were maybe 3 or 4 people, but not you, are you then likely to share a video that you're not in?
Yes, I would for sure. But I don't know if that's what
Yeah,
everyone in eco athletes would think.
others.
would you guys, just show of hands?
Yeah, I would. If I wasn't in it, I would still share it.
How many people would be unlikely to send around a video that they're not in? No? Okay.
I have something to maybe add. Do you think, because you sharing it versus people actually donating, do you think your family would be more likely to donate if you were in the video? Or do you think it wouldn't matter as long as the video got the point across?
I think for sure, if we're talking about directly, like my family and friends probably wouldn't donate unless it was like me on the screen of some sort.
Yeah.
I'm assuming,
I think
but
that makes
That's a
sense.
consideration of, that putting the time into it. We've got 200 plus eco athletes. If we have a compilation video with 3 or 4 people, I don't know how well that's going to translate around the globe, literally. So it's
Yeah.
good to get the input on this. Whereas a text and email message and flyer, um, how do you think those rank versus a video? Like, would you text someone a little video if you, or would you be more inclined to text someone like a flyer or a message that you would personalize? Because you can't personalize a video. Any thoughts?
I would probably text just the message and maybe a flyer, probably not a video.
Yeah, I think for me, same, but the video, I guess, would be more for, I don't know, like followers on Instagram that maybe don't like know a whole lot about this. Um, that whereas like I don't think it would make a difference if I was in the video or not. It's just like them seeing like what we're about and stuff could be helpful. But yeah, to close family and friends, I probably wouldn't send a video, just send them a text because they kind of know like what I do already. They have that sort of background. So I was thinking the video more for like people who are less familiar.
Right. Well, and then whatever text that we created could also reference our website, which has oodles of information about what EcoAthletes is about and what we do.
And, and I'm thinking, I mean, it, we did this video. It wasn't a fundraising purpose, but a lot of people shared it, but only 3 champions were in it, which was the Vote Climate video. If you remember, some of you who were with us back then, there was a video that encouraged people to register to vote and know where, make sure they knew where to vote and to vote like their climate depended on it. And it had 3, of the higher profile champions, Nafisa Collier from the WNBA and the 2-time Olympic gold medalist in basketball, Brent Suter, Major League Baseball pitcher for the Reds, and Elena Olsen, who won bronze at Paris 24 with as part of the rugby women's team that got the bronze medal on the very last play of the game. And so people did share that, but that's not is there a difference between sharing something like that versus sharing something that's a request for money?
I think to like go off of what Lou just said, I just thought like that video was like, like a production, like it was like a very like high quality like video, which I guess I'm also just curious to hear. I would think that like in my opinion, like I'm probably more likely to share that video just because it's such high quality and looks like you just said, like Nafisa Collier's in it and like high profile athletes. I don't know. I guess I'm like curious to get your guys' opinion on like like a video that's like of that high quality. I think I'm more likely to share on my story or post anywhere versus like videos of us just like, like our phone like in front of our face and like sort of giving our spiel about it. I don't know
I
if that makes sense, but
And what about when you're on the receiving end? Like, okay, we're all in communities, right? So we all have a cousin who's doing something or a teammate who's doing something in fundraising. Like we also get the incoming fundraiser requests. So are you more likely to respond to someone in your network, a family member, a teammate, a classmate, a roommate, if you see something in their story or if they send you a text or an email? Which one do you find yourself responding to or taking action more?
I can give the example. My family, little cousin, like he's like 8 years old. We have been like trying to get him to be Sports Illustrated's like kid of the month or something, and there's like a $25,000 scholarship. So every day my aunt is like texting the group chat of like vote, 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 and I'm like, it's kind of a lot, but it
I'm getting
works.
the same one.
Okay,
I'm
because
part of your competition. So
yeah,
a
your
friend of mine
competition.
whose
My
daughter is
aunt literally texts me like she texts the group chat like every day, and my family's on it. But I know for my family, they respond really well to when it's like a campaign and they're working towards something and there's an element of competition. In terms of like the video aspects, I think I know when I'm sending out a text to someone, it feels more personal if I'm in it or I'm showing more of what my individual story is. I know I've done some campaigns with like the NWSLPA, um, and when it's just a video of players just like recording or talking about a message, it's good, but it always means more when it's something that's more personal. So that's just been my experience. But yeah, campaigns for competition, I know my family goes hard on those. So
great. Thanks, Imani.
And thanks, everybody. Now we're going to get to the actual brainstorm part of the session. But first, I'm just going to share my screen one more time. So just bear with. That's where we were. So now, uh, uh, now we're actually going to brainstorm some ideas for a fundraiser that we would like to have drop, sometime November, December. It doesn't have to, we're not pegging it to Giving Tuesday or any specific date at this point, but towards the end of the year. And just before we get into it, um, a couple of thought starters, some ideas that Patches, Sydney, and I talked about. One is actually something that we did in our first year around the holidays in 2020. We we had the champions uh, provide recipes, plant-based recipes in this case, for a cookbook a digital cookbook that would go with, I think at the time we said a $10 minimum donation. And first of all, the recipes were awesome. I ate most of them and they were very tasty. Um, it was, we didn't get a great response, to be honest, but our network was tiny at that point, and we were just starting out as an organization. Um, maybe there's some validity to this could be done well, or if we and do better and have a better response, if we do it now. But this is just one idea, and then another idea that we thought of or were talking about was a photo contest. And those seem to be very popular in fundraisers. Patches or Sydney, anything to say about those?
I would just say that this would be one way of going about this would be more similar to this contest that Imani and I are both. Was it Imani who's,
Yeah.
or was it you that was saying that you have your
Yeah.
following up the family chat? Um, in that people would submit, and the thing is, sports is so photographic, right? It's so photogenic because action shots are really cool, and so if we had a green sports photo contest, people would pay to submit their photo, and then people would like one model is, and I think this is how the one that I'm getting solicited for, it's like $1 for a vote. So in order for someone to vote for their favorite photo, it costs $1. So it's a tiny amount, but it all snowballs and adds up in that way. So that's one way of doing a photo contest.
So these are just a couple of ideas. We'd love to hear yours. Remember, and this is going to sound so cliche, but I do offer those up once in a while. There are no bad ideas. And now it's your turn. So I will uh, I will open the floor up. But before we start, Hope Martin joined us. Hope, would you introduce yourself? Or maybe she's not there.
Okay.
Anyway, all right. Um, time to.
Sorry, one second.
Oh, there she is. Hey, Hope. Go.
Hi.
Quick introduction.
Yeah, I'm Hope. I am a incoming third year at UC Santa Cruz, and I run cross country and track. And I reached out to Lou over this summer when I was studying abroad, because I thought it looked like a really cool opportunity. And I'm an environmental studies and legal studies major, so I wanted to like expand my network and see what I could do.
Great. Thanks for
Welcome.
joining us.
Welcome, Hope. And so now, Hope and the rest of our group, any ideas as to a good fundraiser for the fall or the winter?
I definitely think when like the other person is getting something out of the fundraiser, it definitely goes better. Like running or like they're doing something other than just giving their money, I think is a really good prospect of fundraising. I think on TikTok, definitely I'm on running TikTok. And so I see a lot of like running and like things in like New York where it's like running clubs. And I think that is really trendy. And I think people like my age or above would be interested in doing something like that.
So a
And
geographic event.
Yeah.
and when you say, did you say at the beginning where they get something for what they're giving?
Yes.
And so what would be the something that you get? Like a t-shirt or
Just run the like course, I think is what they would be getting out of like a blocked off course to run or walk.
Yeah, I like that idea. Even if it's like I'm thinking of other run clubs too, even if it's just like a community to join and like it would take probably quite a bit of like promotion and social media stuff. But if there's other eco athletes in a certain area, in a concentrated area that want to, bring other people together and kind of do some type of, whether it's like running on a track or doing other things, that's something I was thinking about too, about like getting something out of it. And I don't have like a specific idea for what it could be, but I think raffles can be kind of effective in certain fundraising things. So obviously, eco athletes, there's definitely a lot of athletes that have higher profiles than a rower, but maybe they'd be willing to like sign something or like be a part of something, that an experience that someone who enters that raffle could receive or, get something from.
I like it. We also have, you know, as I was talking about the Collegiate Cup before, where your steps lead to the planting of coral, and in years that was in the 2025 Collegiate Cup. In 23 and 24, it was methane capture. What if we use that same model, but instead for fundraising? So, for example, a donation of X gets coral planted in the EcoAthletes coral field that we're planting. We planted, by the way, 3,000 plus corals in 2025 from the Collegiate Cup. Thank you, Cornell, for a good chunk of those. So what do you guys think of something like that?
Wait, I don't think I understand.
In other words, if you donate, a donation gets, because I was riffing off of what Olivia was saying, if you'll donate if you get something. So in 2020, several people, but not a huge amount, donated X to get the cookbook. This time I'm saying donate X to get coral planted, because that's an environmental benefit. Does that make sense? Or do you get it? Patches?
Well,
Yeah, I'm just not. I don't know. I don't want to waste our time with me trying to figure out how that would work.
I have a question, I guess, for all of the athletes on here, or retired athletes with great ideas. And it would be, do you think for the people who are donating to you, would like that climate idea incentivize them to donate, or would they not be donating because okay, that makes it sound like they don't care about the environment, but would they be donating not because they care about the environment, but because they care about you? Or do you think because they care about the environment, they would want to donate? Or would it be more because they support you and what you care about and your endeavors?
I think the coral planting or the like tangible evidence is probably something that would like incentivize someone to donate, but mostly I think the people that I would be reaching out to, or just in general, if it was a person I'm reaching out to, would care more about like me and what I was interested in. But maybe like the coral acting as an example of like how it's actually making a difference would make it easier for them to get on board. But for me personally, I think it would be mostly like connected to my interests.
Yeah, I definitely agree. But I do think we're coming up with like good ideas in terms of, I think when we've been touching on this like concept the whole time, but I think people are more inclined to donate when it's like they see you're like not like you're doing more than just putting a flyer out and or like sending a text. Like I know we talked a little bit about like campaigns that were like, oh, a certain amount of like reps you're doing in a minute or like simulating something like that. I do think when you're like proving that you're doing more than just sending out a text, um, incentivizes people in general because it's just like showing that you care a little bit more than like the average like, hey, do this thing and sending it to like mass amounts of people.
That makes sense, actually. That, so, any other ideas?
We've had a couple ideas in terms of my nonprofit, the Black Women's Player Collective, about bringing in like fans or people who want to support us. So we do like an annual dinner at the end of the season, like during the end of SL Championship, and we've talked about people who donate a specific amount, like would be invited to come to the dinner and be around like the athletes as well. So I don't know if there's an opportunity to like do that on a smaller scale. I'm thinking of like pulling together athletes in certain markets, and maybe it's like inviting people out to go on a hike together or like do some like event together. Especially with kids, I think that's always something that people really gravitate to. Maybe it's like a training session or like a mentor session. Maybe it's a Zoom mentor session or like a Q&A. Giving people like offering a service, I think also is can be helpful.
How did that go with Imani with your um when
With the
you
BWPC,
yeah.
we haven't implemented it yet, but we're
Oh,
just talking about it.
all right.
But yeah, we're trying to think of ways to incorporate more of our fans into like the organization. So that's an idea we've thrown around.
Cool.
And were there any other fundraisers that people have been a part of, whether it's sports oriented or straight charity or for your team that just went really well? Or any disasters where you're like, oh my God, it was awful. Whatever you do, don't do X, Y, or Z. No stories. Okay.
I was gonna say, sorry, I never did this fundraiser, but I've seen on everyone's Instagram story where it's more of a sorority thing, but it's like a bingo card, and it's like if you donate $5, like we have to do whatever like that task is. So it could be like running a mile or squatting or something, or like the ice bucket challenge or something like that. And I've actually seen a lot, like there's some people who would, and you have to post it on your Instagram story, so it's like funny too. But I've seen a lot of people like fill out the full bingo card, and it's just like story click, like so many like because people want to like, make fun of their friends, and it'll be like funny, but it's also for a good cause. So
So wait, so how does that so you have an actual bingo card and each square is a different task, athletic task?
yeah, I mean, if we were doing, our climate comeback, like we can make it athletic tasks, but sororities will be like, I don't know, something.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, yeah,
Student orgs in undergrad, I like posted those. Once I had to
yeah,
crack an egg on my head because somebody donated
yeah,
$15. So like, yeah.
yeah. Those are just super popular and common, and it can make it fun for everyone. But I think that's definitely an easy thing for people to do, and will also raise a lot of enthusiasm.
And fun and climate change don't usually go together. So a good uh, potentially a good pairing that way.
Lou, kind of going back to your idea about the environmental incentive that um you kind of touched on. So when I think about like, I don't know, there's certain like brands that will say like this amount of money of the like proceeds will go to cleaning up like a beach or something like that. And I always like that idea, but I'm like, how do we know they're actually doing that? Like, how do we believe that it's actually happening? And like, what if we did something? I don't know, this could be really hard to plan, so I'm just gonna like throw this idea out here. But what if like for I don't know, a certain amount of like money or every dollar donated, it's like we like as a collective, like we pick a place like a beach or somewhere to go. I don't know, this is like not really realistic, but like somewhere to go and we like pick a date and we like do like an ocean cleanup or we plant trees or we actually do the act so that people know that it's actually being done and it's not just like, oh, we're gonna partner with this organization, which I think in that case, like if we're really partnering with someone, like it'll get done. But do you know what I mean? Like there's just some like brands and stuff that I'm like, I don't know if you guys are you guys just greenwashing or whatever? So this would be a way to show that we're actually doing.
So you're documenting the environmental good that is happening so
Yeah.
that people will trust that it's legit
Yeah.
and that people are putting themselves out there.
Yeah. I don't know. That could be hard because most of us don't live by the beach, but
Well, it could be, I mean, there are all manner of environmental activities
yeah.
that, you know, uh,
Yeah, just have to
that
be.
that you can that that people can do, and with a cell phone, take a video and do it. Take a video of you doing it.
Yeah. I don't know. Just a thought.
That's a good thought. We're coming up on time because I promised we always want to respect your time. This is an hour-long chat. So, just any last thoughts, any last ideas?
Question.
Oh yeah, I just had one idea. I don't know if this has ever been discussed before about some sort of EcoAthletes summit, but essentially selling tickets for that. I know there would be a lot of cost to just put that on. I don't know if you would even break even, but I think selling tickets could be an option too.
I mean, that is something that's in my mind for that's almost this whole separate like thing.
Yeah.
But it's in my mind. It's been there, but I feel like that would take a long time to plan and um and we'd have to make money on it. So, because the planning of it is quite something. However, one thing I was thinking of on that score was having, because we're all over the world, was having mini summits in you know, different places. But that's a separate discussion, but you're not far off at all. You're not off at all. Um,
And then
anyone?
I had one more idea that's probably not as cost intensive, but I know for some events we pay the green team ambassadors to either sort waste or stand by waste stations and kind of educate. I don't know if we would have a direct team, either collegiate or professional, where if we had some consolidated eco athletes in like one city and they could all work, they would just, it would basically be us volunteering for money to donate towards eco athletes.
Wait, say,
At a sports venue?
Yeah, either at a sports venue, sporting event, collegiate event if they're trying to do like a green game or anything like that. But that would just be us volunteering our time. So I don't know
how
how extensive that could be.
there's, I need to hear more, but I will noodle it. Here, here's an idea. Um, here's an idea because we have athletes who you guys play a multitude of different sports. So, and riffing off of Noel's idea of the how many reps in a minute, what if there was like a fundraising week and one day is basketball and we have our champions shoot baskets, but it's not only the basketball players shooting, and you could make videos of it and it could be fun and funny and you pledged, if you're a basketball fan, you pledge to the basketball day. If you're a soccer fan, you pledge soccer day, et cetera, et cetera. And you keep I mean, if you make it interesting enough, maybe people will want to donate on multiple days.
I
And
just thought of this, sorry, but you reminded me of it. I'm a part of Athlete Ally too, and we do Playing for Pride. So it's like getting teams and players involved for a month-long campaign of like, we're going to donate X amount. And I think when you get teams involved, like the fans of the teams then get excited. So maybe it's like the Duke women's soccer team is donating $10 for every goal they score in the month of October or something, and then encouraging the fans as well to like join that to try to hit a certain goal. But Yeah.
All right. I think last chance for ideas. Ideas going once, ideas going twice, ideas going thrice. All right, we are done. Thank you all for being part of our brainstorm and for being our brainstorm, basically, not being part of it, for your ideas and for listening and for really helping EcoAthletes move the ball, pun intended, forward. We're doing this again tomorrow morning at 10:30 East Coast time. And then we will post one of these videos to we'll share both, but we always post one to the Trello, to the toolkit. Just a heads up on we are going to have community chat, uh, two community chats next month. They will be in two separate weeks, but this one I really urge you guys to attend. If the time works on one of those dates. It is with Dr. Alan Hershkowitz, who is, as I call him, the godfather of the green sports movement. He was there pretty much at the founding. He was the president of the Green Sports Alliance. He helped the Philadelphia Eagles start their Go Green campaign back in 2002, which I think is probably the first example of a big green sports thing. He's the environmental science advisor of the New York Yankees. He does a similar role with the NBA. He's worked with NWSL and MLS teams, the US Open. He is he is the green sports movement. So Alan is going to be speaking with us to us on September 9th, which is a Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. in this time slot. And then again, not until September 18th for Thursday morning at 10:30 Eastern time. And you will be getting the information on this, but I just wanted to give you that heads up. Anything else? Patches, you good?
All good here. I'm very grateful to have all the input from each of you. It's and we have special guests, which is always great to see, Imani.
Yes. Who is that,
And
Imani?
for so many of you, this is our first time meeting you, so we really appreciate you taking time out of your evening to join us.
And and to those of you who are going back to school or starting school in one case at Princeton, even though that's our rival,
You.
we had to do the Rutgers thing. Um, I wish you all a great semester. Aurora, who's going overseas to London and may still be the captain of the fencing team. Um, yes. And to all of you, thank you so much for being part of this movement. It means so much. So have a great night, and we will be back with you soon. Oh, and Belle, buon viaggio. Belle is going to Italy, what, day after tomorrow?
Friday, so 3 days.
Venerdì.
Have a great time.
Thank you.
I'm sure you will.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye,
Thank
thank
you
you.
guys.
Thank you.
Thanks again.